Right, so let's do a little tester with just maybe one of these cars to see that bouncing in action, right? So we don't need these two now. Go back to, well, not there. Back into our car sim. Oh, I've just realized we've done all of this in the car import, but that doesn't matter. It's fine. We'll just change the name of that geo so it makes more sense. Okay, so I'm going to come here, template this, and then select a car. Let me see. I want to see the animation actually. Oh, I think we're simulating there somewhere. Oh yeah, we're watching that. Come here. There we go. Now I just want to see a part of the bridge which kind of rocks side to side, somewhere we get a good bit of movement. So yeah, one of these cars should be fine actually. Maybe I'll just delete this one. Let me see, go forward a bit more and see, we can watch it drop as well. So I'm gonna come here. Okay, there, and then just grab this one, press enter. So that's great. Go back to the start. So now we have our one car. We need to bring in this geometry. So I don't want this time shift, okay? And before that, bring that down to not the guided collision geometry. I am going to drop another time shift. Okay. And all I'm going to do is do $F -5. So basically, if we watch this now, turn off that template, and just play this, you can see nothing happens for 5 frames. So we got 5 frames of static geometry. So it's a bit like a pre-sim, you know, allow the cars to drop and settle, and then the animation will start after that. Okay. I just want to come in here. So I'm going to give myself a lot more constraints iteration. Since we got constraints now, we have the soft constraints, and for them to for the stiffness to work on them, I find I need to boost up the constraint iterations. So bump that up to 50. Let's give ourselves some more density on the cars so they're nice and heavy. Do 1,000,000 there. Okay. Excuse me. Let's get rid of the bounce. I don't want these to be bouncing at all, and drop the friction a little bit so that they, you know, so we don't want, I know for the previous one we had 0 friction, but in this case we do want some friction, you know, we don't want them sliding all over the place unnaturally. And collision padding again, just like before, we'll drop that down to 0.05 on everything. Okay. Collision, so we're going to be, this is all fine, deforming static objects. Get rid of that collision padding. No bounce either. We'll leave the friction at 1. I think this will just multiply with this. Okay, so they kind of work together. We don't need a ground plane. Forces, just leave that as it is. Constraints we got set up. We got our cone twist. Okay, so that should be all good. Let's get rid of that. We should be able to see the actual, there we go, I've got it turned off. Okay, so I'm going to come here, look at my car. Go to full screen. Let me save it in case we get a crash, and let's do a flipbook from there. There we go. I've just stopped it there. Got plenty of frames. Didn't take long at all to simulate. So yeah, a few good things, a few bad things. So we can see we're getting that rocking side to side, a little bit of twist, maybe a bit too much. I don't know. It depends very much on the camera. I think we're going to have a camera kind of further away where the movement is more subtle. So, you know, it's kind of very dependent again on the camera, on the motion blur and things like that. Because you want to see something, but obviously it needs to look realistic. It's a bit bumpy. One thing I do see a mistake there. Can you see this little kind of ring? That's you know, we made the selection on the wheel incorrectly somewhere. Well, I did. Hopefully you didn't make the same mistake, but I can go back and change that and just save it. But I'm going to try the full sim with this, with these settings. Again, you know, we'll go over the values that will affect your simulation. So obviously in your constraints, these values are very important. So if you find that it's moving too much, then just bring all of these values down somewhat. So 10, this up rotation with side to side movement, out rotation back and forward, okay, from front to back in this direction, and then the twist is around in this direction, okay? So all of those values are important. With your soft, you could just, I don't know if this is a multiply. I guess it is because these are all set to 1. So you can either turn that up here to stiffen all of them, or do them individually in here, you know, push that. So you just have less ability to move. You can push them up there, okay? But I'm going to leave it as it is, I think. But let me see which car this is and go and select that wheel properly. So this, if we go to the geometry spreadsheet, I can see this is car 5, and then 110 is just, you know, the class. So let's go up to car 5, and then this will have to run through again. So car 5, which is here, and look at that selection, spacebar and F, and we should see, there we go, there's our problem, okay? So that's funny disk there. So I'm going to click on this and then press 9, go to 3D connectivity, shift click on that, press enter, and there we go. As easy as that. That's the beauty of procedural working with Houdini. That's why it's so great. Okay, and then come back down here, let that process through again. They'll all be the same, but with that wheel added to the group. Come back down to this. Fortunately, we will have to do that simulation again. We get rid of that, so we don't need it anymore. Okay, back down to this. That's all good. Nothing has to change there. This blast is, we were doing that just testing 1, I think. Okay, we'll just leave that. Maybe I'll make that red, kind of for tester nodes. You know, I leave them in sometimes. And then come back down to this, so this simulates through again. Shouldn't take too long. Save that, so I'll save over. And then I'm going to go here, get rid of that, so they all come through. I'm going to save this, because running through this now, when we unpack everything, that will be pretty heavy on the computer, okay? So unpacking everything, there's a lot of geometry coming through now. So that's going to take some time. In fact, let me press escape on that, and let's set up the cache before we actually save that. Okay, so come down here, abd.io, and just like before, we're going to save the geometry and the points. Okay, and set this to geometry and points. We'll go back into that cache folder that I made. So car sim. We'll just call it car sim. Oops, what have I done there? Press escape, trying to simulate now. I'm just going to click this brain thing here to stop it from simulating and set it to manual. Okay, so car sim, I'm going to call it $f3 .pageo, and then just like before, the rest frame. Okay, so make sure to delete $f3 and then just call this car sim rest. Okay, so that's ready to go. But yeah, like I said, we need to kind of process through everything here. So auto update, let me save it now. Okay, before it does crash. Let's come down here. Okay, and then run through this for each loop. Now this will take a bit of time as well. Okay, that's processed through now. It takes a while going through each vehicle. Now let's come down to the bullet sim. Just let that pass through. There we go, and then make sure, very important, to turn on the simulation before we actually cache this. So you can see a warning up there. So that should go. There we go. And then come down here. I'm going to save the rest first, and then save the simulation itself. So there's a couple of things we need to fix. I've decided to kind of add this on to the end of this video. I didn't want to make an extra video. No, I didn't want you to have to cache out the whole simulation and come back and do this. So just a little add-on to the end here. So if I've come back up to the this kind of layout sim thing, and if I'm just going to drop a merge here, grab the what we cached, and look at that with the bridge, and then you may have noticed this yourself. Well, one thing is these cars coming off the end. We need to delete those. Also, you can see vehicles kind of floating in midair. So we just need to give them time to drop. They're being pulled up by the forces here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come here, select this force, and actually make this much shorter. So we could just, if you press Shift, left click and drag, then you can select the two keyframes there. And then I'm going to middle mouse click on it and drag them both back and try to get it onto frame 5. So there we go. Frame 5 is, there we go. Okay, so on frame 4, we've got it set to 1, and then on 5 it's 0. That should be fine. I saw quite a bit of movement in the first few frames, and then we'll just probably push this on a bit later so that it gives them time to drop. Okay, so let's go back to the first frame, and then I'm just going to play this through a moment. Okay, I've just stopped it there, and just looking down at all the cars, they look pretty flat. Remember, we do have a couple of frames at the start of the other sim to allow them to settle there as well. So let's do it, to frame 20. Okay, so that will save them to there, and then save that to disk, so that will overwrite the other one. Now we'll have to go through this process again. It does take a bit of time, unfortunately, but needs to be done. Another thing before I forget, that's really important that we did miss, is setting the speed limits on the body group. So we did it on the wheel. That would have changed when we were doing that test on the one car. So if you want to do that again, go ahead. It would have changed how they looked. Okay, not on the one, on the one car, but also when we tested the kind of weight and everything. So I think did we do it up here as well? No, I guess we didn't. Yeah, so if you want to do those little tests again, go ahead. So here 2, and this one was, what was it? I want them both the same, 400. Okay, 400. There we go. So yeah, I'll just so that was saved. Let's save the file before going through this process, because it takes a while. There's a lot of cars for it to go through. Just visualize that and let that run through. Actually, before we run through that constraint making thing, we should get rid of these cars that are falling off. So we'll just select them, do it manually. Okay, so just grab this one, shift click on that one, and any which are kind of hanging over the edge as well, in case they're intersecting the bridge. Right, so like that one. So I'll take these 3, shift, click, 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 click. Not too difficult as they are. Let me just template that. As they're packed, we could just click on them. I'll probably take that one as well. And the others will be fine. Maybe this one as well. Shift click on that. There we go. Just press delete on your keyboard. That will get rid of all them. Make sure we didn't miss any. The ones that are falling are probably fine actually, but it's just a waste of processing really. Okay, and then come down here. Just wait for that to run through. Right, once that's done, come down to the ABD.io. Make sure to save the rest geometry again. As we've changed some of the geometry, we deleted some of the cars. You can see, this is the old simulation there. And save that to disk.